thank you for joining me today on another video from All These Things TV. If this is your first time, thank you and welcome. And if it's not, welcome back, girls. Good to see you. Let me tell y'all, this is like my third time recording, literally my third time. Well, actually, I've recorded like 6 times since I've sat down with this take. But the first time I recorded it was super long, and I had like all this cardigan stuff on, this fancy stuff. I went out and took a photo shoot right after I filmed it, and then I looked to start editing it, and it was in a completely wrong format. And I started to think that it wasn't the take that I wanted because it wasn't the take that God wanted. For some reason, when I get in front of a camera, I feel like I have to be, oh yes, welcome to my, First, before I get into the video, I want to talk about a couple of updates. I have a new background, so I'm sorry if it's a little off center. I'm still trying to figure it out. My desk is multi-purpose, so that's my makeup towel. So don't judge me, okay? I was in the car this weekend and I was driving, and I prayed to God because I have a big passion for this blog. I have a great passion for this blog and for the millennial mother and wife in terms of her communication with God and her just her maneuvering through life and feeling, you know, fulfilled and adequate in life. And thank you, God. See, I sit down and I do it His way. He done brought some extra light so this lighting will be on point. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. I really appreciate that. This is letting me know that I should have just listened to you in the first place. So thank you, Lord. Thank you. I was talking to God, and a lot of times in the car, I just ride in silence because it's just a moment for me to spend with Him. I was like, God, I know I want to walk in your footsteps with this blog, and I want everything to be ordained and, you know, created by you through me. But I want a content calendar. I want some content. God, I want it to be good stuff, good for your heart, and not necessarily good for your face and your house and, you know, your kids. And it's good for her heart. God, give me some content that's good for her heart, the millennial mother and wife. Give me some content that's good for her heart. And so I just sat in spirit, and He just started dropping stuff in, and I came home, and now, guys, I literally have 2 months of weekly content. So that's another announcement. I will be having a video every Thursday. So thank you for joining me this Thursday, or anytime you decide to watch it. But I will be having new videos every Thursday on a weekly basis. So I have content all the way up until the first week of November, and it's God blessed and God ordained, and I'm really excited about it. And this is how I know that it's God ordained and God blessed, because God gave me a topic, and He has my experiences that are tied with it, but He's actually also calling me to get into His word and make sure that I'm sharing truth with you guys. So I'm really excited, and I hope that you guys will stick it out with me, and I hope you're encouraged by the shift that I'm taking with All These Things TV. Now, don't get me wrong, we're still gonna have vlogs, we're still gonna have fun stuff, or I may do like a fall favorites video or something like that from time to time, but I really want to get into your heart. I want to nourish your heart. I want to nourish you know, the innermost beings of yourself. That way you're able to be the mother and wife that God has called you to be. So with that, today, the title of this video is Since Jesus Came. And I was, like I said, I was in the car praying about content, and the song from Tone, that's like, it's old now, but it was with Kirk Franklin, and it was Since Jesus Came into my life, San Diego. But that song came in my head, and I was like, since Jesus came, and I started to think about everything that I have been through in the past year. God gave me this idea. He said, let's talk about how I've came into your life in the past 12 months. So this video, after I'm done chit-chatting y'all ears off about all that extra stuff, I'm going to sit here and talk to you guys about how Jesus has changed my life in the past 12 months, and hopefully some of these nuggets will help and encourage you. So let's go ahead and get started. So there have been 2 major things that God has worked on in my life in the past 12 months. But before I get into it, I do want to give you a brief history about my relationship with Christ and how it has evolved over the years. I was born and raised in the church. My dad is an elder. My mom is a missionary. I was what you would consider a PK. And because I was this child that was immersed in this religion and in this society of church folk, you know, I got desensitized to it. Yeah, like, look, if y'all knew how much Bible is in me, it would be sad. Like, I can literally use the Bible for whatever I wanted to, you know, and it got to the point where it didn't really mean anything to me. And it didn't start meaning anything to me for real until I met my husband, honestly. I had just came out of a bad relationship, came out of a verbally, sexually, and emotionally abusive relationship in college. And I had came out of it, and he had came around, and I had started to really spend time with God and be like, God, I really want to be serious with you. And so I prayed to God, and I was like, God, I'm talking to this guy, and I don't want to waste my time. Just let me know if he is who I need to be with. And as clear as day, I promise you, I heard the Holy Spirit say yes. And I was like, okay, well, how am I supposed to know? And he said, this weekend, he'll give his life to me. I said, what? So at this moment in time, he wasn't even planning on going to church with me. And that Sunday, he literally gave his life to Christ. And I hadn't told him that God had revealed to me that he was going to prove that he was my husband by me being present during his dedication, to Christ. But after church, I told him, and then that's when I really began my relationship with Christ. And that was in 2012. Then the past 12 months, from September to September, I feel like one of the main things that God has been working on with me is intimate time with him. I've learned that, you can listen to somebody's translation and interpretation through a sermon. You can read all these books about the Bible. You can even turn on worship music, and you can get different elements of the Spirit and of God from it. But it's nothing compared to actually spending quiet, intimate time with God. There's something special about it. There's things that you can only receive from him, as opposed to that Fred Hammond song, as opposed to that Heather Lindsay book, as opposed to those things. There's something special about spending intimate time with him, that you get something special out of it. And one of the reasons why I feel like he wanted me to spend intimate time with him is not only to get certain things like my content that I got by spending time with him, but just getting to know him. I'm still reading this book. In May of this year, I received an advanced reading copy of Rooted by Banning Liebscher. He is the leader of the Jesus culture movement. I was chosen to be one of the influencers to read this book before it came out, and I'm literally still reading it the first time around. But I was reading it this weekend, and I want to read this excerpt to you guys. Matthew 6:6 says, "But you, when you pray, go to your room, and when you have shut the door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly." The first reason to develop a secret place lifestyle is because we find God in the secret place. He's waiting there for us. Finding God is paramount, because the first call in our lives is to be with God. Before Jesus ever sent his disciples, he first called them to be with him. Jesus' strategy for rising up those who would take the gospel into the world was to say, "Come be with me. Let me show you who I am and what I'm about." Not only are we called to spend time with him to get what we need to give to the world, but how can we do that if we don't know who we're representing? If you see an American or you see a Russian and you think about that word, you can usually tell that they are of and from that country. Like an American, if you think of the word, you're of America or from America. If you're of Russia and you're from Russia, you're a Russian. If you're of Germany and from Germany, you're a German. You know what I'm saying? So if we're a Christian, we're supposed to be of or from Christ, or both. You know what I'm saying? And how can we be of or from Christ if we know nothing about him? So that's another reason why God really called me to spend intimate time with him in these past months, so that I can know who I'm representing, so I can represent him properly. How can I love and serve if I don't let him into my heart and teach me how to love and serve? Because I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm going to give y'all a really transparent piece of information right here. When I first started my YouTube channel, I'm going to be real with y'all, and I'm sorry if this hurts y'all feelings. I did not care about y'all. I literally didn't. I was on YouTube because I was like, oh, God gave me this vision, and I just need people to like me so that they can follow me and that I can be big like God told me to be. But I wasn't spending any time with him to begin to have the heart to love you guys who watch these videos. Now I'm at a point, since I've been in that intimate time with him, God has given me a heart to actually literally pray for you guys. There are people that comment on my videos, and they will they're so brave, and they have so much courage to open themselves up to me and tell me what they're dealing with, and thanking God for me to speaking about certain things. And they're encouraged, and God puts it on my heart to literally pray for you guys. I pray for you guys now almost daily, and I thank God that you feel encouraged by what God has given me, because now, since I have spent that intimate time with him, I have a heart for you, and I'm really concerned about what I'm giving you guys as God gives it to me. And that's when I know that God's going to bless it. I'm so thankful that you guys spend time with me, because now that I have the heart for it, I can pray, and God can continually bless you through my prayers as well. And I pray that you guys also have the heart to pray for me too, because that's where we need to be as people of God. We really need to be focused on how we can help each other. So I'm using this platform as a way to help you with what God gives me and what God blesses me with, and I give it right back to you. That's what the body's all about. We're supposed to work together and help each other. You know, it's no one's on a pedestal, no one's better than anybody, no one means any more to God than the next person. We all need to be there. We all need to help and serve and love one another. So I wouldn't have learned that and understood that and been able to move and walk in that had I had not had that intimate time with Christ. So that was one of the biggest things that I've learned since Jesus came in the first 12 months. The second thing that I really learned about was the concept of forgiveness. Lord Jesus, let me tell y'all about forgiveness, okay? Hold on a second. Let me tell y'all. Forgiveness is a hard pill to swallow, okay? Especially this year. This year was very difficult. There was a lot of things that happened in my marriage that made it almost impossible to forgive my husband. You know what I'm saying? And one day I will get into it, but I'm just not ready yet. But it was really difficult to forgive him, and God is still working on me and forgiving him. But in that issue, in those series of issues that I had with my husband, I went through some friendships that fell apart, and I had to learn to forgive. So I'm going to use this example of my friendship that is now mended, thank God for his grace and us being able to listen to his voice and move in forgiveness, that now we're friends again. We met in 2000 and I want to say 14, and we became close really, really quick. We have the same personality. She's a little bit older and she's just awesome, okay? So we became really good friends, and she was being there for me during everything that was going on with my husband, but I was only wanting to listen to it to a degree. So it ended up being she hurt me with things she did and said, and I hurt her with things I did and said. And we ended up not really talking to each other, to the point where we ended up getting, like, we weren't even on social media. Like, we deleted each other off of our social media websites and everything. And I was, one day she decided to send me a message and said, Christian, this is how you hurt me. This made me upset, and I have to tell you how I feel so that I can truly forgive you. So now I've made the decision to forgive you. When she sent that message to me, I was like, why are you talking to me? We literally just got off social media. Why are you talking to me? I thought we just deleted each other out of our lives. So thank you for telling me you forgave me. Okay. So we happened to go to the same church, and I hadn't made it to church in a couple weeks. There was a sermon that I listened to Sunday afternoon, and it was about forgiveness. And my pastor at my church, he preached on an excerpt of the Bible from Matthew 18, and I want to say, what is this? Matthew 18 and 23 until the end of the chapter. And I'm just going to break down and paraphrase the story to you, and how it convicted me to end up making true amends with my friend. In the story, Jesus is telling a parable about a master, a slave, and then the slave under that slave. So I want to make sure. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's do names. We got the master. The master's name is Greg. The slave's name is John. And the slave's name is Peter. Let's do that. So we got Greg. What did I say? John and Peter. Greg, John, and Peter, okay? Greg, John, Peter. Let's get that. Let me make sure I can remember that. So Greg calls John into his palace like, bro, I heard you owe me $10 million. This is a paraphrase, but it was based off of the version you read in the Bible. It'll say, based off the measurements at that time historically, but it equaled out to about $10 million. So Greg was like, John, you owe me $10 million. Where my money? And John was like, oh my God, Greg, I'm so sorry. I can't pay you. Just give me some time. I'm going to pay you back. So Greg was like, man, I'm gonna have some sympathy on your heart. Not only am I not gonna lock you up, but I'm just gonna completely forgive and give you amnesty for this debt. You don't even owe this debt to me no more. You don't owe it to me at all. Greg dismisses John. John is at his house now chilling, and Peter comes through, and John remembers, hey, bro, you owe me $20, man. Where my money at? Where my money at, Peter? What's up? And Peter's like, oh, man, I ain't got it, man. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get it to you as soon as I can. John is like, nah, man, nope. I ain't trying to hear that. Lock him up. Lock him up. I don't want to hear it. Give me my $20 or get locked up. That's it. What? You ain't got my money? Go to jail. You going to jail now. John locks up Peter. Greg gets word that John locked up Peter over $20. Greg calls John back into his presence in his palace, whatever you want to call it. And Greg's like, hey, John, I heard that you locked up Peter for $20 when I just literally forgave you and told you you got to pay me this $10 million back. So because you want to be so evil in your heart, not only am I going to lock you away to where you can't pay the debt, I'm going to torture you until you can, which doesn't really make sense. Because if he's being tortured the entire time for the rest of his life, how can he ever pay it back? So he literally is just getting tortured for the rest of his life. Let's put this into, today's perspective. So God has forgiven me of sins past, present, and the ones that I'm going to commit that I don't even know I'm going to commit. And he's already given me a ticket into heaven. But I can easily get that ticket into heaven taken away because I don't want to forgive my friend who said and did a couple things that hurt my feelings. Really? Like, I'm going to end up missing my chance for eternal happiness because of somebody else's wrongdoing, and I can just forgive them and move forward. And I'm not saying when you forgive them, you have to be buddy-buddy. Granted, we're still friends and everything, but that doesn't mean, just for you specifically, it doesn't mean that you have to bring that person back into that space. If they hurt you, you need to let them know that you were hurt, but you've decided to forgive them and move forward as if the occurrence never happened. But you can also be wise in that too. I just ask you guys to assess your relationships, assess your situations to see if there's anything that you haven't really forgiven anybody for and you're harboring any hurt for, because guys, unforgiveness will stop us from getting into heaven. And we've done all this loving and serving and thinking we're doing right by God, and it takes a simple I forgive you, and I'm telling you where I'm hurt, and I'm asking and I'm sharing with you that I forgive you. And it takes a simple, it's difficult, especially when you've been hurt, but it takes that simple conversation to save you from missing your chance to be in heaven. If I don't know about y'all, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get to heaven. I gotta get my together, cause I got somewhere to go. And I'm praying when I get there, I see everyone. I know that means you, and you, and you, and you. And if I can't see you there, then I'll be sad. And one of the main reasons I won't be able to is because you ain't forget nobody. Forgive them. Forgive them. Forgive them. For real, man. Because you're stopping yourself from eternal paradise. And no one wants that. Those are two of the main things that have been going on in my life in terms of my relationship with Christ, and I hope that they encourage you to, start considering how much God has changed your life in the past 2 months, or in the past month, or in the past week. If not, if there hasn't been any change, then maybe you need to talk to God about coming in there and shifting some stuff, rearranging some stuff around, But thank you for joining me today. I hope you were encouraged, like I said, and I hope you guys will stick it out with me while I'm blessed with what God has given to me for you guys, for your heart. I pray that it touches and encourages you. I really do. I pray for you guys on the regular. Thank you for sharing your stories with me. I pray that you, in my transparency, would pray for me as I pray for you guys. And we will see you every Thursday here on All These Things TV. And we'll see you next time. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you then. Bye.